We be sipping Kool-Aid jammers, and after we go turn the party a disaster. Imagine all these girls up on.
Yo guys, so this is recorded after I recorded the actual video. I just want to say real quick that I don't know how good my commentary is. I can't really tell, but I don't think it's that good, and I don't know how well I explained everything. So in addition to the video, I'm also gonna write everything out, and I'm gonna put it in the comment section down below, so you guys can read off of that as well if I don't really explain that well. And also a quick ladder update: I did manage to push up to 7,600, top 432. Beat two nice matchups, be a top 23 guy, top 30 guy. So that's nice. But yeah, hope you guys have a nice holiday and enjoy this video. Hopefully it helps. You guys, welcome back to another Clash of video. Today is the much awaited deck guide for Mega Knight Balloon, my MK deck. I've been getting a lot of requests to make this video, and I actually kind of have in the past, but it was like really poorly made. So I'm gonna try to make like a really good version of it, so I won't have to make it again, because I'm probably gonna have to do a lot of editing for this one, just because there's a lot of things I want to go over. And obviously I can't go over like every single tiny little details. So if you guys have any like questions on things I did not cover, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and I will answer them, because I answer every comment. Unless I don't see it, then I probably won't answer, or unless I like really don't need to answer it, then I won't. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know down below, and I will just kind of be going over 7 different like archetype deck matchups, if that makes sense. I'll add some editing to make it better, and I will put on some replays from my battle log that will hopefully kind of like help a little bit. So first off, I just kind of want to say my deck archetype, I guess I would kind of say, is BeatDown. This is definitely a really BeatDown-esque type deck. You can even compare it to something like Golem, where you just have a tank and you put stuff behind it. Although there is like different ways of playing the decks depending on the matchups, which I will be getting into as the video progresses. So yeah, I'm just gonna put on a replay real quick and just gonna talk about some things real quick. Okay, so first off, I just want to go over the 7 deck archetypes that I'll be talking about how to play against. I found this on like a Reddit page, by the way, to supply me with like the deck archetypes. So I'll link that down in the description down below. This will not be like every single little deck, and I'm not going to cover off meta decks in this video. I might make another video on it, or I might just put it in like, or like talk about it in like a ladder pushing video. But the first deck archetype I will be talking about how to play against will be BeatDown. That'll be decks like Golem, Lava Hound, Giant. I'm gonna put timestamps on this video, so you guys will be able to like access it better, if that makes sense. You guys will be able to go to the decks where you want to see how to play against. So BeatDown will be the first thing I'm going to talk about, how to play against, what you want to do and stuff. The second archetype will be counter push decks like Splash Yard, Royal Giant. I would say that will probably be like the second hardest deck to play against, or the second hardest deck archetype out of these 7 that I'm going to be naming. The third will be Punish. That will include decks like Bridge Spam, P.E.K.K.A Bridge Spam, and like some balloon decks, not Lava Loon, but just like balloon decks. The fourth will be Chip/Cycle. This will include decks like 2.6 Hog and Minor Cycle, and obviously etc, but it's gonna name some for example. And then for the fifth, we'll be going over Siege, like X-Bow, Mortar. I actually have a replay of beating Icebow, so I'll probably walk over that while talking about how to play against Siege archetype deck types. The sixth, which arguably in my opinion will be the most annoyingest, will be spell bait decks like Log Bait or like MK Bait. Those tend to be the most annoyingest to play against if your opponent is good, obviously. If they're bad, then it will probably be really easy. And the last deck archetype I will be going over will be Split Lane / medium spell bait decks. That will include decks like 3 Musketeers and Royal Hogs. So yeah, those are the 7 that I will be going over today. Let's just get right into BeatDown. Okay, so against BeatDown, I'm gonna share this replay. Actually, I do have a match against a BeatDown deck. This is E-Golem. I mean, sorry, not E-Golem. I'm bad. I don't know why I said E-Golem. This is against E-Giant. And I'm gonna be walking over some tips against E-Giant. So pretty much with every single opponent, every matchup, you want to leak Elixir into a double, even if you have like a really good hand. And by definition, a really good hand is kind of just I don't really know how to explain it, but it just like feels right. It feels like you have the counters to a lot of the cards. So right here, he cycles a Mega Minion. That's when you want to play something. You don't really want to let that Mega Minion get close and get a hit, and you just keep leaking Elixir. So against, so I didn't know what deck he was running. So right now I'm just kind of like feeling him out, and I do go with a aggressive balloon opposite lane. This is something you can do a lot if they cycle a air defense card such as Mega Minion, which will be a positive Elixir trade against your balloon. So if they cycle that, you can probably freely go with the balloon. But you do have to watch out for cards like Goblin Cage, because if you Goblin Cage and pulls it towards the middle, you can easily get King Tower activation. So it might be decent to go with like aggressive Lightning, just to prevent a King Tower activation. If they go with like a Mega Minion, you can like ignore a hit. But yeah, so against beatdown decks, you kind of just want to feel them out until double Elixir. Don't go highly aggressive. Definitely do not try going in with a Mega Knight balloon push during single Elixir, because that will never work unless they like overcommit at the start. But I doubt that happened, just because you know, the players are probably going to be decent. So right here, he goes with a really aggressive Lightning. I don't want to like panic or anything. I just want to set up a defensive Tesla to help for like future pushes. And this is a really good position for me right now, because I can set up a Mega Knight, because I do have the Tesla up, so he can't really pressure me. And I do put my Mega Knight a little bit high, because I will have enough Elixir to go with balloon. And also, that angry emo was kind of psychological. I don't know why I like to do that a lot, where when I'm in a really good position, I like to do the mad emote to make the opponents think that I think I'm in a really bad position. I don't really know why I do that, but right here, go with the nice archer split. Try to split archers early when you're going against like an air troop that has splash, so they split and the air troop goes for one of the units at a time. It's good against a lot of cards like Dark Prince, Baby Dragon can fully counter both of them with the tower, obviously. But right here, as you can see, I'm in an amazing position right now. I set a Tesla. Notice how I placed it really late, so the Dark Prince did not charge onto it, and it'll have more like life. So it can take out the E-Giant, because obviously the E-Giant is more of a threat. And I'm in a really good situation right here. You do want to go with a really high placement of cards. If they do have Lightning, which in this case my opponent does, and for most beatdown players, they're probably going to have a big spell, either Lightning or like Fireball. Doubt they're going to have something like a Rocket. They could have like arrows as well. In that case, you do want to strategically play your archers. Don't want to go too aggressive, and want to like place them in certain areas. So right here, you don't want to like overcommit too hard, because they could get counter push and win. But it will be probably pretty good to know the damage of spells combined, but I never really like remembered that. But all I do remember is that Lightning Arrows does a little more than 500, which is something that will be good to remember. So yeah, just remember like the damage of spells. For me, I just remember that Lightning does a little more than 400 and Arrows does about 140. So I was kind of like safe to know that that'll do enough. But yeah, that will kind of be how you play against beatdown. Okay, so I didn't really have any replays for decks against Splash Shard or Roll Giant. But so I just will be playing a Roll Giant replay from TV Royale against an E-Giant player. But I will be kind of explaining. So this is just kind of like background gameplay if you guys want to watch. But against Splash Shard or Roll Giant decks, which I am seeing a lot of Roll Giant, not a lot of Splash Shards, so you guys probably don't have to worry about that. But against those decks, it's really similar to play against beatdown. You do want to wait until double Elixir. This is with pretty much every single deck, unless you're playing like Hog Earthquake. You can probably go pretty aggressive during single, because they don't have too much to counter you. But I'm just gonna focus this on Roll Giant, because I have been seeing a lot of Roll Giant, and I feel like That's going to be like the more likely deck you play against in this meta, in this current meta. So against Royal Giant, you would like to leak until double elixir, and defense is really, really important. If they're like pushing you while you're half going in with a push, I would definitely just focus on defending, because they can defend really easily with low elixir cards against MK Loon. Unfortunately, like there's Ewiz, Fisherman, they can pull the MK away really easily. Cards like those that are really rough to deal with. So the main goal is just to defend and watch out for your Tesla placements if they have Fireball or Lightning. If they have Fireball, then just place it right in the center where the Fireball cannot hit the Tesla and the tower. But if they have Lightning, then that will definitely make it a lot harder. So against Royal Giant, you just try to get, if you can't get Death Bomb. Now against RG, it really does depend on the variant that your opponent plays, but it's practically the same. Sometimes you have to save some cards if they're playing certain variants. Certain variants are definitely harder. If they do not have Ewiz, Hunter, Archer Queen, it should be relatively easier. But if they do have those cards, then obviously you're going to have to watch and save some cards. Now, if you and your opponent physically cannot break through, then I would just wait until like triple elixir, or if you're in like a really good position, and just go with blue and lightnings to get the lightning damage and the death bomb to like chip your opponent down. A lot of times Royal Giant matchups for me do go to the end of overtime, and we do the damage thing at the end, so that sucks, but it is what it is. This is kind of like a really even matchup, I would say, but it's pretty rough at the end when they're just spamming Royal Giants at the bridge. You can't really commit too much. But yeah, I do want to talk about Splash Art a little bit. This matchup's really, really hard. You cannot win during a single. Well, I guess there are many situations where you could win during a single, but it doesn't usually happen. It doesn't happen at all, pretty much. It's only happened to me like a couple of times in the past, but I haven't really been seeing Splash Art recently, so you don't really have to worry about that. It is one of those more annoying matchups, but this matchup is pretty much all just spell cycle. You just cycle lightnings for your balloon. Focus on your balloon for damage. Don't focus on the MK. The MK is kind of just mainly used for defense and tanking. So that's important to know. Now, regardless, they probably will get King Tower activation. If they have NATO, obviously, because most matchups they do have NATO. But if they will get like King Tower activation, try not to let it be kind of like free, if that makes sense. Don't go with like naked balloons and they pull it with a goblin cage and they pull it to the king with NATO. Try to get at least one balloon shot and then they pull it to king. That's a much better trade, because the game will probably come down to you guys chipping each other with like skeletons, poisons, a bit of graveyard damage, and you chipping them with balloon death bombs, maybe some archer hits and lightning arrows. Obviously try to save some cards like Valkyrie to prevent tanks for the graveyard, because a graveyard lock can literally kill you, a single graveyard lock, so try not to let that happen. It really does suck because you could just lose with one push. I don't have a ton of good answers to graveyard. The main one will obviously be archers, and they probably will have something for that, so try not to like waste it, and try not to waste your arrows as well, because they will be really good against Splash Art. But I would definitely say this is like maybe like a 35-65 matchup in favor of Splash Art. And yeah, it's not fun, but it is winnable. In the future, I'll probably show some gameplay of it in ladder, win or lose, so I can show you guys how I played wrong or what I did right. But yeah, let's get on to the next category of decks. Okay, so the next category of decks will be Punish, which will include decks like Bridge Spam, P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, and Balloon. I do have a replay against a Goblin Giant, Double Prince, Bridge Spam-esque kind of deck. So this was like a really, really even matchup. I can speed it up if you want. But against P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, well, against pretty much all of these decks, they're pretty much all the same. Just leak into a double, kind of see what they have, and try not to overcommit. Never go Tesla for Prince. It's terrible and also never go Hunter for Prince. If you're defending Prince, you have to only use Valk or Mega Knight, or you're going to get a terrible elixir trade, which is why I hate playing against Prince. Against Dark Prince, you can defend it with Valk, Hunter, and Archers. You can fully defend it, as you can see I'm doing it right now. So this is going to be a very, very even matchup. Against decks like these, they tend to drag on to the very, very end of overtime, unless your opponent sucks, obviously. But as you can see here, we're just kind of trading. I'm feeling him out. I do have a decent push building, so I did decide to go with a balloon behind my Mega Knight because I saw he used his bats, so I don't have to worry about that for my balloon, which is why I went in. Those are like some few occasions where you can go MK Loon during single if you have if you're feeling really good about it. But obviously gotta go MK for the Prince. Went balloon behind that as well just to see what he's got, and he goes, yeah, you can probably see how this match is gonna go. He can defend my pushes really well, I can defend his pushes really well. So this is a really, really even matchup. And the same goes with P.E.K.K.A. Although there are many occasions where you can choke against P.E.K.K.A. decks because of like misclicks or just starting hands, how they play, etc, etc. This is one of the more annoying matchups, but I did manage to scrape a victory. As you will see soon enough, it was by like very, very slight amount of damage. So we both don't start to cycle our spells on the tower because we know that if we do, that will cost us. He does take a risk and go with a fireball on my tower, so that kind of messes up the cycle a little bit. I'm pressuring him right now. I think this is what, yeah, this is where it got really, really close, and it did get me that balloon bomb on the tower, which won me the game pretty much. I go with the lightning, he goes with the fireball, and I do win by slight damage. So it pretty much just comes down to defending each other's pushes, trying not to let them get damage, and spell cycling at the end. That's kind of how you play against decks like these. Okay, so the next category of decks will be chip/cycle decks, like 2.6 Hog or Minor Cycle. 2.6 Hog is pretty straightforward. It's a really easy matchup, so I'm going to try to go over Minor Cycle more, because that's where people tend to struggle a little more. So against Minor Cycle, it seems like a relatively easy matchup. The main thing that's really annoying about this deck is probably the bats, because you always have to have a negative elixir trade against them, and they're really, really annoying, and they can kill stuff really fast. So I do believe I do go with a balloon here. Yeah, I just want to see what he had, and he did go with the bomb tower, which kind of scared me for a second because I thought he had NATO. That's why I did the mad emoji, but it turned out he did not have NATO, and I messed up here pretty badly. I went with the Hunter because I thought he was gonna, I thought he was gonna do that a little sooner, but he didn't. And if you guys don't know, that Hunter placement will get King Tower activation. I've done it a lot in my previous videos, I believe, with the Golden Knight, but I kind of messed it up. So now I'm down a lot of damage, but it's obviously still a super winnable matchup. Try to go Tesla low for the wall breakers, and a little bit earlier, and the Tesla would have defended that unscathed. It wouldn't have suffered that one wall breaker hit. So right here, he goes with a really aggressive Miner, so I just go with the Valk because I can't really afford too much damage anymore, because I know this will probably be a one tower game. So right here I do go with a Hunter, seeing if he will fireball. Oh, never mind, I lied, I did not go with a Hunter. Oh yeah, I don't want to go Hunter, obviously, because I don't want to give him fireball value. I don't know why I just said that. And he kind of messed up with the Golden Knight there, but this is a really good position for me right now because his Spear Goblins are out of cycle. So that means his only air thing will be bats, but he's back to Spear Goblins, obviously, because he's running a cycle deck. And he actually had to fireball that because he was scared it was going to get a hit. I cycle Archers, Miner gets one hit, and he doesn't have fireball in cycle, so I am able to cycle a Hunter freely, and I am able to just like build up a push, and I could afford to tank those wall breakers just because I'm up a decent amount of elixir, and that tower isn't really damaged at all. He tried to go with a Miner to pull it back. It was a really good play, but thank God I didn't go balloon. And he uses bats as well, so I'm able to go with a balloon. So right here, it was really good for me because he missed that placement, and I'm able to arrow, and my balloon is able to get another shot. So that pretty much wins me the game. He did make a misclick. This is a pretty even matchup. I would say this is really similar to the matchups against decks like Punish, like Bridge Spam decks, Packet Bridge Spam, like Goblin Giant Spam decks like those. This is really similar to that, where if they mess up, you could win, but it's a pretty even matchup. So right here, arrows do enough to kill that tower. So I am just making my last little defense, which is really easy. He goes with a kind of like a Desperation Golden Knight. Let's go to the Valk. I go with a Mega Knight, and I think I go with Tesla and arrows. Yep, because I know arrows do 140. So yeah, that will be the matchup against Chip / Cycle. I'm sorry, my commentary probably kind of sucks because I never really make guide-esque type videos, but hopefully the gameplay can kind of help with it as well. Okay, on to Siege decks. This is like Expo, Mortar, decks like those. Mortar Bait is probably a relatively annoying deck. This right here, I'm playing against Icebo, which is probably the worst of the worst, but I did manage to win somehow. I don't know really why he did that. That was really interesting, but I think, it was probably a misclick, but now that I think about it. But yeah, this was a matchup against Icebo. This is usually, okay, so against Icebo decks, you want to initiate the lightning cycle early, because obviously Rocket does more damage. Sure, you're going to want to, well, for most cases, you want to start Rocket cycling him really early. I don't know why he chose to not rocket that and pull to the king, which actually almost kills him, believe it or not. It gets his king tower really low, which is really good for me, and he goes with like a really quick Expo, which kind of sucks for him because he barely gets any damage, and his king tower is almost dead. So right here was like a really good position for me, but against every Icebo deck, you pretty much just want to play really chill, never go MK during single unless they go Expo, or they could push your opposite lane and win, and just start little pushes with lightning. Honestly, probably don't start the lightning cycle during single unless they go like Expo and you have like a good reason to lightning that. But for the most part, start the lightning cycle in double elixir. They can't really start the rocket cycle until triple elixir. So try to get ahead on damage, because it will come down to damage. It'll probably go to the end of overtime, or if not, it'll come really close to the end of overtime. So right here was a really good position for me because he did go really aggressive with that rocket, which you should never do against my deck, by the way, in double elixir especially, and not triple when they're running Icebo, because I'm able to lightning. And notice how never mind, I was gonna contradict myself for a second. He does NATO back, I think. Yeah, he does. But my balloon does still get a hit, and that gets it down really low. And that's pretty much where I win, because I'm within like 2 lightnings away of killing that tower, or 1 lightning and 2 arrows. So he has to go in with like a desperation Expo. He goes with a rocket, and I obviously knew that was a good game because he can't really do much. And I just cycle a lightning, I believe. Yeah, I cycle lightning on his Ice Wiz, and he tries to go in with a oh wait, no, he doesn't. Never mind. But yep, that is the match. I got pretty lucky here because he messed up during single, but for the most part against Icebo, it's just a lightning versus rocket cycle. Play really passively and try to get damage off balloon death bombs and obviously spells. And quickly against 3.0 Expo, you pretty much do the exact same, although during double elixir you can go a lot more aggressive with MK Loom pushes because they do not have rocket, which is why 3.0 is a lot easier. I would say it's like an 80-20 matchup for you. For me, if they don't play like really well, if they're like god tier and they play really well, I'd say it's probably still like 60-40 to you. But yeah, that's kind of how you play against Siege decks. Okay, so I don't really have any replays against Spellbait, which will be the next category of decks I want to talk about how to play against. So I'm just going to pull up a Spellbait player on TV Royale and just kind of talk about how the ideal way to play against this archetype would be. Now, this is usually depending on if they have Raku or not. It's usually like the hardest variant to play against, or the hardest archetype to play against of decks. I'm just gonna mostly talk about Logbait, most importantly, or more specifically, Prince Bait, because that's what the deck I've been seeing a lot. I'll also talk about normal Logbait, obviously, like the classic one with Eye Tower and Knight and all that, or maybe Valk. But yeah, I'm just gonna lean towards talking about how to play against Prince Bait, because I think that's more meta right now. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm only saying that because I see it so much. Or at least I've seen it so much this season. But yeah, so the main thing you want to save your arrows for is probably the Goblin Barrel, but also sometimes you want to save for stuff like the Rascal Girls and Dark Goblin and stuff if they give you a really good value. There is really good timings for Valkyrie, Hunter, Mega Knight. For the Goblin Barrel, you might have to sack a tiny bit of damage, but for the most part, those can take care of the Goblin Barrel pretty well, and you can use your arrows offensively sometimes. Although for the most part, if you're if your tower's really low on health, try to save the arrows for the Goblin Barrel so you can cleanly defend it and not sack any damage. Which, if you're in that situation, then you're kind of screwed, because you definitely sometimes do need arrows for offense, or else you can't win. But yeah, most of the time, Mega Knight will be your win condition. You're going to try to get chip from the Mega Knight, try to get lightning to help the Mega Knight. You do want to go balloon a lot though, not necessarily for damage, but more of to bait out the rocket, so you get a +1 elixir trade, and they will have rocket out of cycle, so you can kind of stack troops a little bit behind the Mega Knight and get good lightning values and stuff. I don't obviously have a matchup against Logbait right now, but if you look back at a lot of my older videos, I do have a lot of Logbait matchups where I do win. So if you guys want to look back at those, and in the future, obviously, I will probably play against Logbait a lot in videos, so I will definitely explain more as I go. I'll explain my thought process and stuff. But yeah, that is kind of how you play against Logbait. I would say relax until double elixir. Don't try to go on, obviously, especially if they have Inferno Tower. You might want to go with Inferno Tower, lightning on the Inferno Tower, so your MK can get damage, right when the MK jumps onto the Inferno Tower, lightning it, and it'll be a surprise, but the MK will be right next to the tower, so jump onto the tower. They won't have time to react, if that makes sense. I do that a lot in my videos. But yeah, for the most part, just spell chip. Try to chip them with spells. You can even kind of call it lightning cycle. Just lightning cycle your opponent. They can't really rocket cycle you because they need the rocket for the balloon. They'll probably start rocket cycling in triple elixir though, so try to get lightning value and balloon death bombs. It's pretty much just a chip battle, and they definitely could win during single if you mess up with arrows or Valk or something. They can punish you opposite lane and beat you. So just try to save some cards and play smartly, if that makes sense. But yeah, that would be kind of how you play against Spellbait decks. Okay, so the last deck archetype I want to go over is split lane / medium Spellbait decks like Three Musketeers or Royal Hogs, or it could also be a bit of P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam as well, because it's split lane. But this is probably the easiest out of all the 7 or all the other 6 that I've talked about so far, especially Three Musketeers. I would say there's no situation where you lose unless you're just really, really bad and you don't understand any interactions or anything. But for the most part, the only air cards Three Musketeers will have, I'm speaking out of meta 3M decks, by the way. The only air cards they would have is Three Musketeers, and occasionally, I would say more rarely, they will have Hunter, but that's not a big deal as well. But they will have a bit of spell bait, obviously, because they have the elixir pump. They're trying to bait out your spell. So if they go elixir pump during like single or something and you have loon in cycle, just go loon opposite lane or same lane. It doesn't really matter. And if they have like hunter or something, then just arrow cycle the elixir pump. If they don't have hunter, then they pretty much sack a tower. And if they do go with like a 3 musketeer at the end, when they have enough elixir to, just to prevent the third hit from the balloon, then just lightning the 3 musketeers and don't worry about the elixir pump at all. It won't really do too much, if I'm being honest, even if they stack up on elixir pumps. I'm speaking out of experience, by the way. I played a lot of 3Ms in the past. If you ignore the elixir pump, don't ignore it too much, though. If they do it and you don't have lunar cycle, but you have lightning cycle, obviously take the lightning. You don't want to just let that go and leak elixir or anything, because that will help them a lot. Although you do have to remember that, for the most part, like 90% of the time, they do not have any spells. Well, they don't have any spells that hit the tower. They might have like a bar barrel, but that's probably about it. So yeah, that's a really easy matchup. And they obviously will go split lane. So try to save Mega Knight for one lane and Valk for one lane. But if you don't have both, try to pull both lanes towards the middle and have like archers below it to like help out. But this should be a really self-explanatory matchup. It's really easy if you lose to it. But anyways, against Royal Hogs, like the Royal Hog cycle deck, once again, I'll probably just... Actually, it really depends. If they're running the Archer Queen variant with like Earthquake and stuff, and they don't have Fireball or anything, and they use the Archer Queen, then you can probably go in with Naked Balloons and just force a lot of elixir out. And it's really unlikely that you'll get a one push win during single elixir, because they do have cards like Goblin Cage to distract the balloon. They have World Delivery. They have Fire Spirit. So it's really unlikely that you'll win during single, but it's really easy to win during double, because don't use your lightning, not even for the Archer Queen. Try to use it as a surprise factor during double elixir, although definitely take the Archer Queen really seriously, because it can kill your tower by itself. So try not to let that go or anything. Save the MK for the Royal Hogs, or save the Valk for it. It doesn't really matter, either or. You can cycle MK in the back freely if you have Valk and cycle. It won't affect anything much at all. But yeah, it's a really easy matchup, Royal Hogs. Super winnable. And obviously, if you don't use your if you don't use your lightning, they could also place their Archer Queen at the Goblin Cage really close together, so you can get a really nice lightning and win the game, because they don't have like a NATO or anything. The biggest spell I would see them having is probably a Fireball, but that still won't affect too much, because you got lightning. You kill their like air troop counters pretty easily. So yeah, that's a really self-explanatory matchup. And I'll just go over P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam one more time. I think I did a little bit, but not too much. So I do want to kind of talk over how to play against P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam. This is a matchup where you just want to leak elixir until double. If they do that, if they don't, then play super defensively, because cards like Bandit and Royal Ghost can do so much on your tower if like you let them go. So try to play really passively until double elixir. Even if you have an opening, like even if they use Ewiz or something, don't try to go in with like a MK Loon push. Because the P.E.K.K.A. is just gonna build up the most annoyingest counter push to deal with during single elixir. So yeah, that's kind of how you play against these decks. I would say against P.E.K.K.A. decks, never go with MK Loon pushes. You might have to go with MK sometimes to prevent some damage, but do not like support the MK at all. Let the P.E.K.K.A. kill it and just defend the P.E.K.K.A. and the push. Focus on defense until double elixir, then still focus like 80% on defense, but also kind of go in, try to build counter pushes off of like potential pushes. And you can sack an MK. You can use an MK to tank for the balloon and get a nice lightning on like an Ewiz, and potentially get death bomb and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really split matchup. I would say it's probably like, I just had a voice crack, I don't know why. It's probably like 55-45 for me. I do have a match where I played against SK Morton actually, and he was running P.E.K.K.A. Bridge Spam, and I won that. Not to flex or anything, and I got plus 40. I have a picture of it right now. Actually, I'll show you. But yeah, that's about it. I know this probably sucked because my commentary is like terrible, and I don't know how well I kind of went over everything. But once again, if you guys have any questions on anything, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will answer it. I'll probably edit this video a good amount to try to make it look a little better, but I know my commentary sucks. I have to work on that. I can't really commentate well, as you can probably tell from all my other videos. So I am good at explaining stuff though, if you like ask me a specific question. But yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoy. I will push to 76 very soon, and I'll probably make a video on it. Ladder's going pretty well right now. And yeah, once again, sorry, this video probably sucks, and a lot of people have been waiting for this video. So hopefully it doesn't turn out as bad as I think it will. But yeah, love you guys. Hope you guys have a nice holiday. And I'm out. Peace.